start recording. Jesse, why don't you just kick it off before I kind of share the, the screen share information that I'm going to do. Let's just give a little background of yourself, how we came together, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. So I've been in sales for a minute, that's for sure. I actually started off in corporate America, and I worked for the UFC. Or what I did is I started building out the UFC gyms. I'd find a location, find a franchisee to buy in, train a GM and AGM, boxing, kickboxing, BJJ coaches, do a grand opening, get somebody like, Matt Lindland, Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, someone like that there for the grand opening, get their EFT up to like 80 to 100,000. And then walk away and oversee it from a distance. I did that for about 25 different gyms. So that's how I kind of originated into sales. Before that, I played college football and professional baseball. In the minors, didn't make it to the majors, but just that competitive aspect of what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring into my career as well. After that, I got into e-commerce, upsell. I had my own upsell floor. And then that's where I met Ray when I wanted to transition out and actually show people how to sell things properly, ethically, and really help, just guide a conversation where you're actually helping people. Like, not only are you enrolling people making money for yourself, but you're actually helping the person out on the other side of the phone, the Zoom call, what have you, and they can give that information and continue to expand to their clients as well. So it was a win-win-win. About two and a half years ago, Ray and I met. I was looking a little bit deeper into some of the bigger competitors that I had at the time. He worked for the biggest competitor at the time. And at that point, we had a conversation. I was down at spring training in Arizona. We BS'd about baseball, kind of became friends, and we're like, fuck it, why don't we start something together? And we've been doing it for like almost 2.5 years now, man. So Ray and I are yin and yang. It's perfect. You're going to get a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet. But ultimately, that's why we've done very well with one another and what we're doing now, and really want to continue to expand upon sales, things that we're doing, and really driving it in an ethical, solution-based way, which not a lot of people train and educate on how to do. But ultimately, when you actually provide that, it's a much easier opportunity to actually bring someone and enroll them into your program, provided that you come about it in that manner. So that's a bit about me. Ray, go ahead and dive in on you, man.
Yeah, good stuff. So I'm similar to Jesse in the aspect. I worked 20 years in corporate America and kind of an obscure niche in industrial laundry. So it's something nobody would ever really think of. But I worked for two very large national corporations that were billion-dollar annual companies. And I worked in sales and service for 3 different brands over a 20-year career. Late 2017 is when I first stumbled across digital marketing. Probably like many people on this call, I'm just going to assume that for about a year or two, what I did and what I've heard from a lot of people is I just really picked it up on the side, right? I had my full-time job, 40, 50 hours. I'd block off 2 hours a day to read books, take courses, hire a coach, just things that most of us have probably done online. And I still remember the date, November 15th, 2019, which is about 1 week from today would be the 3-year anniversary. That's when I left that corporate career and started online in digital marketing in particular. And I started working for a sales team, as Jesse mentioned, for a big digital consultancy at the time. They were doing about 20 million a year in revenue for their coaching products. Jesse, as he mentioned, he was actually one of my prospects, one of my outbound dials while I worked for that company. He was down at spring training watching baseball. We just really connected, both being baseball guys, stayed in touch. And as soon as I left the company, he got in touch with me. And April of next year will be 3 years he and I have been partnered together. We've grown. We had our own little consultancy that we grew to about 40,000 a month. Just 2 guys, no ads, no agency, no nothing like that. Before we ended up partnering and launching 3 brands that we've now grown to 3 7-figure annual companies. And one of them in particular, the Sales Lab, is what we're going to be focusing on here a lot today. So that's a pretty good overview. Combined, Jesse and I have over 30 million in high ticket deals. And just to be fair and give him the credit, he's got over 2 to 1 on me. He's got over 20 million of that 30 million. And Jesse has done a lot more closing. What he mentioned there, being the yin to his yang, is exactly right. We both have skill sets that complement one another. And when we work together in multiple different offers and businesses, I was more the front end guy, warming up prospects, taking the triage, pre-qualifying them, kind of giving them to Jesse to slam dunk and close them. And we meshed really well. and have had some great success. Now with our Sales Lab brand, we have a couple different avenues to that, which we'll cover. One, we train and work with a lot of existing sales reps, existing business owners selling their own offers, generally in the high ticket space, right? Coaches, consultants, agencies, experts. Not to say we don't work outside that realm, but that's probably the bread and butter of who we serve. And we train reps to increase cash collected, close percentage, as Jesse said, all based around ethical solution-based sales. The other aspect of that business is we have a done-for-you offer where we work with existing business owners doing a minimum of 100,000 in monthly revenues. They already have their lead gen dialed in, and they really bring us in just to either work with their existing sales team and implement our IP, which we're going to go over today, our processes, frameworks, or we actually implement the talent in. And a lot of people that come through our training programs in sales are the people that we utilize and we give job placement into our done-for-you clients. So we have potential to potentially work together with you guys in a lot of different ways. We'll talk about that. But what we want to really do today is give you some implementable aspects of sales that you can literally take after this session and go mix it into your sales process, whether you're closing for a business owner, your own business, whether you're looking to get into high ticket sales. We're going to give you some advice and suggestions on how to go about doing that. And lastly, one thing I just want to mention off the top is whoever's still here at the end of the presentation, we want to give everybody what we call our framework cheat sheet, which we're going to go over, but this will give you guys your own hard copy in a PDF form to really have the outline that we use on sales calls within all of our 3 7-figure businesses. Over 200 client businesses we've worked with have been implemented to, and all of our done-for-you clients. So that might have been a bit wordy, but I think I covered anything. Anything else to add, Jesse, before I dive into it?
Yes, I know everyone wants to know, did Ray close me? And no, he did not. So let's just make that clear. No, I'm just kidding. He had no shot. I was calling around to see what people's processes were. He was on the front end. It was more of an inquiry. I just wanted to see how people were pitching, what they were doing, do my research before I really fully dove into some things. But no, I just give him shit because no, I didn't close. So
if anything, actually, to be fair, I actually warned you not to opt in.
You did, actually.
I found out a little more about that company that I didn't think was super ethical, which was, to be honest, the inspiration and motivation to leave that company and start something on my own, which partnered with Jesse, and that turned into something very, very good. So that's kind of ironic that you mentioned that, because very few prospects, but as I was with that company longer and learned some things, we all know in this space there's some over promising and under delivering. And when you're a rep on an offer where you start to see that what you're telling prospects isn't being fulfilled and totally delivered, if you can't really stand behind the product and your word, how good is anything you do as a sales rep, right? And once I started to realize that, if you lose confidence in the product or the offer, you have really no shot. So that became a little apparent the longer and longer I was there. Again, I'm not going to drop any names or fire any shots because I learned a lot there. And it was a great company with a great high-performing sales team. It's just I didn't like the ethical and moral aspects. I think we differed there and clashed, and that led to where we're at today. So all good things, man.
Absolutely. And then one thing to kind of add to that too, guys. Yeah, again, if you guys are at the end of it, fantastic. If you can't, no worries. But at the end of it, we're going to give you guys our frame. It literally is the $30 million frame that we've positioned and we've optimized over the last 3 years together. Obviously, we were in sales way before that, but this frame we've worked with, again, over about 500 students, 200 businesses. And honestly, like I said, internally in about 2 years, built out 3 7-figure businesses. And we actually just started a new tech and data business that's actually projecting to be 8 figures our first year. So everything we're going to give you is exactly what we do. We're not going to hold shit back. We're going to give you everything in regards to how we position things, how we do things. And also, one of the things that we usually have for, our one-on-one coaching, mentorships, things of that nature, I'd even be kind of keen to give you guys like my financial breakdown. This is something that I would say maybe 5% of people in this space can do. But honestly, if you learn how to do it and go into a conversation in the best manner to actually understand where someone's at financially, right? I can show you how to take that friction away so you can actually dive in honestly and openly into what they have in checking, savings, credit, etc. It's role played out with me and Ray a couple of different times in a couple of different scenarios. But honestly, I'd be okay to give you guys that too, because honestly, that's a lot of people are going to be able to close honestly an additional 10, 15% on what they're doing simply by adding that to what you're currently doing now. So 2 things we can provide, man, but we'll kind of dive into it. One thing I do want to know too in the thread here, I want to know who we're speaking with currently. So if you're like brand new to this space, you're looking to tap in, just type in a B for like brand new. If you're like more novice, meaning you're already on an offer, you've been on offers, or you have your own offer, just put N, right? Novice right in the middle. Or if you are have a business and you have like a shit ton of sales reps, just put on top there, put like Z. So those are the three kind of tiers. I can kind of see where we're at. We kind of cater some things specifically to it. Know how we can kind of guide the conversation here today. Again, you're going to see the entire frame, but we can talk more specifics to more of the demographic we have here today. So just type that in there. Let us know where you're at. And then Ray, let's get to it. Let's stop jamming and we'll get to it, man.
Sounds good. So Stephen and Ibrahim, they're both on our team. If you guys could take notes of what's being put in the comments and just kind of take notes on where they're at, or anything else that Jesse and I ask questions for them to do chat participation. Stephen and Ibrahim, if you could just keep notes of that, and we'll get back to everybody accordingly. But let's just dive right into it now that we did our little background here. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. We're going to start off with just a quick little overview. We discussed briefly, hold on, let me just move my face out of the way. We discussed briefly a little of our background individually. Now we're going to go over a little bit of a company background here. So this is two of our three business owners. I'm the only one not in the photo.
Hey, hold on, fellas. Please mute your mics, please.
I just muted. Yeah, there's one or two people. Okay, there we go. One or two people in the background. I'm hearing that feedback too. There we go. We got it. So in the image here is Jesse and our other business partner, Adam, and myself. The three of us own a couple of different brands. As you see on the screen, we've been featured in publications like Yahoo, Bloomberg, People, AdWorld, AdLeaks, Forbes, so on and so forth. Over 30 million cash collected internally. Over 200 businesses we worked with. Generally speaking, closers see about a 2x increase in their close percentage. We had a great example of one of the reps in one of our done for you business offers. That client came into working with us end of summer, doing about 125,000 a month. October, just this last month, they did 350K in revenue. So in just a few short months, they've almost 3x their revenues. And that closer in particular was at 17% in the offer. And sorry, something
ended at 43.
Now it's up. Yeah, somebody just popped up trying to take over screen control. I don't know what the hell that was, but I declined it. And then, over 20 years of combined experience in the high ticket sales and marketing industry. So we have kind of a marketing company, a sales company, and a data and tech company. Today, what we're going to be going over is our step-by-step framework. So I'll be bringing that up in much more clarity for you guys to see. And this is really what leads to increased close percentage, increased revenues and cash collected. We're going to show you an ethical solution-based sales framework that is going to help you overcome, alleviate, and eliminate objections. And again, the ethical frame and the positioning that we provide. Jesse, anything to add on before I continue?
Nope. Keep it rolling.
Cool. These are just a couple examples. That was that person we just mentioned, Derek, from 17% to 43% close percentage just in 45 days of working together. Kenny, who owns a agency geared toward contractors. We 3x their revenue, actually, not only a close rate, but cash collected. They went from just under 30K a month to 90K cash collected in their first month working with us in our done for you business model, where we managed and implemented the talent on their sales team. It's just a couple more screenshots. Obviously, you guys can't see that with the sides of it, but I can read a couple. Had a great day. Landed two clients, 7K and a 5K, both 3-pay options. Signed my first 15K client, Shiraz. Michael closed a 5K deal, 2-call close, and Mike turned into an ongoing, which could be 9K extra per month. Closed on new offer, 13.8K cash collected. We have tons of these. That's just a few. We have a quick little video testimonial of what our clients are saying. I'm not going to run through the video. I can share that with you guys after if you want to go through it. We want to really make our time here most effective with giving you guys stuff you can implement. So we're trying to kind of run through the background super quick. But you guys can see on my screen a couple of great examples. Kenny, I mentioned. Tim's offer, I mentioned. We actually put in that number before October, but that's up to 350K in revenue. Ben's business, 2x revenues in 45 days. This guy went from 65K to 125K. So all kinds of social proof. But
this is really just a highlight to you guys that we want to make sure you guys understand, no matter what you're in, B2B, B2C, agency, consulting, coaching, even in corporate America, phone room, does not matter. This is universal for everything that we do. We've made it that way. And that's why I've been able to tap into obviously multiple niches and multiple industries. But we're going to show you is universal. It's not like you can only do coaching, you can only do consulting. It's only for agencies, what have you, right? This is something that will be universal for no matter where you're at, what you're doing, whether you're brand new, novice, or you have your own offer, et cetera. So we'll break all that down as we continue.
Great point. It is pretty industry agnostic. And we stopped counting, Jesse. I remember we stopped counting when we started working with 26 different niches. We were like, okay, I think we got enough. And we stopped counting. So I don't even know how many offers we've used this for in different industries and marketplaces. But Jesse's right. It's not just limited to the coaching consulting industry. However, that is going to be a vast majority of who we've worked with and helped, right? That's probably who a vast majority of all of us interact with, right? So what we really want to talk about is the sales roadmap, what works well, right? We'll talk a little about the audit process, customizing the frame to the offer. It's super important. That's what we're going to talk about. Is we can give you frameworks and outlines, overviews, but we don't use scripts here because a lot of this will be custom to the offer, to the marketplace, to the verbiage of that particular industry. For example, I'm probably going to speak to six-figure executives a little different than I'm going to speak to roofers and plumbers, right? It's just so we customize things to the specific offer. Really talk about specific resources and SOPs that solve problems, right? And ultimately increase show-up rates, increase close percentages, increase all the important metrics that a sales rep and a business owner would focus on, right? We provide, sales trainings for all of these type of companies on a weekly basis. So we're working with all of our done-for-you businesses collaboratively 3-4 times a week. But what we've really found is it's kind of these three outside factors of increasing a close rate, increased show-up rates, and then implementing our framework that ultimately leads to the result of about a 2 to 3 average increase in gross revenue within 90 days from our clients. And you saw some examples there below. So now to kind of illustrate that further, I'm going to dive into some more of the process, right? Before I dive into the process, one thing I want to cover, and Jesse and I, we should spitball here back and forth a little bit on this before I kind of dive into our micro commitment process that we'll talk about. So I'm going to stop screen share for 1 minute, and Jesse and I will just chat, and then I'll bring this right back up on the screen. But Jesse, I want you to talk briefly, and then I'll elaborate on some just terminology so everybody is up to speed. We'll cover that now, terminology, because I know in the chat I saw there were some newcomers and some people that are kind of brand new to this. So let's discuss a little of the basic terminology. So when we cover that today, everybody will be able to follow along.
Yeah. So terminology as far as like CPA, things of that nature. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would go more related to sales, right? High ticket offers, just to make sure everything that were like the stuff that I had to teach you when you first got into it.
Yeah, no, when I first kind of came online, there was a lot to learn. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms being thrown at you from people, but yeah, things of like, an offer, like people like, well, what the hell is an offer? An offer, is something like literally it's what you're providing, what you're positioning, whether you're helping someone with social media marketing, you're a fitness coach, mindset coach, what have you, things like that. Then you have certain aspects where people are always asking like, hey, what CRM do you use? Like, I'm like, wait a minute, what? That's just basically where you're tracking clients, where you can send like automated emails, SMS, text messages, where you have an actual proper follow-up process. You're going to hear the word SOP, standard operating procedure. That just means something that we follow to a T in regards to, again, whether it's a triage call, whether it's a follow-up process, whether it's nurturing the lead, giving them a resource, whether it's a closing call, right, what have you. So SOPs. So things like that, you're going to hear quite a bit. You'll also, as you kind of dive into, a lot of people are going to say CPA, cost per acquisition. How much does it cost you to acquire a client? Just things of that nature. So there'll be little acronyms here and there. If you guys are unsure what they are, just put it in the chat. But those are going to be pretty common things you're going to hear quite a bit. A lot of people are going to talk about ClickFunnels. I didn't know what the hell a ClickFunnel was when I first started, but that's essentially just how you're driving like your funnel, like right coming into how you can essentially enroll somebody. So from the very, very top down to the very, very bottom, your process of what you do and bringing that in. So just common things you're going to hear quite a bit. But again, if you're unsure, unfamiliar, feel free to ask. Have no problem explaining what those are in further depth and detail.
Good. Thank you. I thought it'd be good asking you because you had to learn them all at the beginning. So I thought it would be more applicable. which is totally, everybody has to learn them in the beginning. Just to get a little more clarity, what we're going to talk about and what you guys have all heard about sales, we all hear high ticket closing. What does that mean, right? So high ticket is subjective. It's really the number and the ticket price of your offer. I personally think anything, say 3K and up, I kind of consider high ticket. Now, again, subjective, right? That could be, everybody's a little different in that, but generally speaking, an offer that's a few $1,000s and up. We've closed offers much, much greater. I mean, myself closed offers between 25 and 40K. Jesse's closed some much bigger deals than that, even in some of our partnership offers. But anything above 3K is what I'm going to kind of my subjective number when I talk about high ticket offers. The other thing to think about offers is, as a high ticket rep or as a sales rep, we're going to talk about the roles too. So there's really 3 different main roles in our sales teams internally. We'll have what we call a DM setter. That's somebody that does your messaging, and whether that's email stuff, whether you're using, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and you're using, direct messages. Once you outsource that, a DM setter. Then whoever handles our triage call or our pre-qualifying or our 15-minute call in our process, we call a specialist. And then whoever takes the sales call, we refer to as an advisor or a closer. So if you hear any of those lingo as well, I just want you to follow along with like that kind of role and responsibility, right? Setter is kind of your DM messenger guy, doesn't really interact on the phone or in voice with your marketplace. Triage guy is usually, or your specialist is your triage guy. And what I like business owners or reps to think of is you're kind of the face of the company. You're the first real personal interaction between a prospect and the company, in the specialist role, and then the sales rep we refer to as an advisor or a closer. And again, one more thing to think about with offers is, I get this question a lot, so I wanted to cover this before I get into like our frameworks. But hey, Ray, how do I get onto a high ticket lucrative offer where I have the potential to earn 8, 10, 12, 15, and $1,000 a month and above in commissions? And I'll let Jesse go on this in a minute, but I think there's a few key criteria you want to look for. First off, it's always good to get into an offer that you already have either a passion or past experience in. So even if you're just getting into this high ticket place, and Jesse and I both said we transitioned out of corporate worlds, but we had certain skill sets that would translate. Like Jesse was always in kind of the athletics, right? Played college football, college baseball, was in UFC, all of those things. So he knew getting into offers where you would work with competitive people that have sports backgrounds, it would be easy to relate. So you can use some of your existing expertise, passions, and skill sets to try to get on an offer where you can already speak the lingo and relate to that marketplace. Going to make your transition time of being successful in sales it's going to expedite that kind of lag time. Because when you get into a new offer for any rep, there's a little bit of time getting used to what I say is really 3 main areas when you get into a new offer, right? You need to understand the deliverables and really the outcome or transformation you provide to that client, right? Obviously, if you're going to be selling it, you need to know those things. You need to know the marketplace, the niche, the industry and their lingo. And then you need to know in more particular, who is my ideal client? Who do we serve best? Who gets the best results out of this particular program, service, offer, whatever that is. So those are some kind of things you can think about when you're looking to get into the sales space and get onto an offer. And we have courses, and we'll talk about that a little more, that like teach you the process of how to do outreach. That's not what we're really covering today. We're covering more if you are an existing rep or you want to become one. We'll show you the skill set once you're placed in an offer. And again, we have other resources and materials. So if you're looking to figure out how to latch onto an offer and you want some more information about that, just say something in the comments and one of our guys will get out to you and we'll reach out to you after the call. Anything to add to that, Jesse, before I go on?
No, man, I think it's pretty important. Like you said, when you're first starting off, find something that you have some sort of passion or connection to. That way you're not learning everything from scratch per se. And you have some sort of background in it. So definitely a good place to go. And then again, if you guys have questions on specifically how to find a high ticket offer, again, something that's of $3,000 or higher to enroll, Ray and I can assist on that as well. We can provide Facebook groups that can potentially give you opportunities where people are posting to find jobs. We place people internally in our businesses that we have with our Done For You. So there's a lot of options and resources we can provide. And again, if that's something you guys are interested in, you can just type in here placement. And again, we can kind of follow up and give you proper resources for that too. So anybody looking to be placed, just go and type in placement here in the thread, and that'll give us a better idea as to where you're at and maybe some ways we can help you.
Awesome. Cool. So let's dive into some of the actual, frameworks and processes we use. So One thing we utilize here for all of our companies internally, and I would say a minimum of 80% of the clients that we've set up sales process for, is what we call a micro commitment process. So a lot of you guys are probably familiar with what's on my screen here. This is what I want to call the usual sales method, right? What most companies are doing is there's an ad or content, something to get somebody to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested. Then you're going to take them to either a triage call, a pre-qualifying conversation, or maybe you do this on a form fill type of format, right? Where you have them fill out a form to pre-qualify and then to a sales call. So that is what I like to say is the usual method, and probably familiar to, 80% or more of you guys on this call probably have either used this in your business, are currently using it, or have been through this process with somebody else's offer, right? One of the issues with that is when we're really trying to track things, and we noticed this more and more as we started to work with more of our done-for-you clients and really work out their businesses. What we found is the key metrics that we're really tracking in sales and trying to improve, like I talked about, show-up rates, close percentages. There's a handful of them, but those are really the top couple. When we're trying to optimize those, it's really tough to judge based on this usual method. Hey, because I'm getting these issues, low show-up rates, low close percentages, like what part of my process can I go back and optimize and fix? And there's no real answer with that old process. So you start thinking to yourself, okay, well, the person didn't buy. Was it the call or the messaging, right? Did I push too hard or not hard enough? Were they even a good fit? There's way too many variables. So what we do is we mapped out what we call a micro commitment sales process that looks like this. So in the usual or old way, steps 1, 3, and 6 were the whole process. So what we've done is we've implemented steps 2, 4, and 5 in this process. In addition, that again, we use in all of our businesses internally, and a majority of our clients that we work with, a vast majority. So I'll run through these super quick, right? Engagement doesn't change, whether it's ad, email, content, whatever you're doing to get someone to raise their hand and say, hey, Ray, I'm interested, right? Assigning the new frame may be the most impactful aspect of this. And what that really means is, let's just say we're doing this organic and we took them into a quick messenger conversation before we're going to take them to step 3, which would be our triage call or our initial conversation. So in messenger, we're going to do a little kind of assessing where they're at, right? We're going to find out, hold on, I just got to mute somebody and get some background noise again. Hold on one sec. Are you guys all, there's the one. All right, perfect. Okay, cool. So assigning a new frame, what that really means is we're going to kind of assess. So, let's take a broad problem that probably everybody has heard or is familiar with. Hey, Ray, I don't get enough leads, right? Let's say lead generation is their main problem. Well, when we hear that from a prospect, we really need to think that's a symptom or a surface level problem. And we need to dive a little deeper and ask a couple of questions. Because a lot of times people are like, I need more leads. And then we'll talk to them and ask maybe a couple other questions. Cool. How many leads are you currently getting? How many did we actually get to a phone call? How many did we close out of the phone call? Okay, so what you're telling me, Jesse, is basically you're getting in 30 leads per week. 20 of those are converting to a phone call, but only 2 are enrolling into clients, which means we're only closing at a 10% clip. Did you ever think if we either A, improved the quality of our leads, or B, improved our sales process to convert, that maybe we don't need more leads, we just need to be more effective? And so what I did there is just really assign a new frame and saying, hey, what you thought was the real problem might not really be the real problem, right? Did you ever think about that? So that's just one quick example off the top of my head. Once they say, oh yeah, Ray, you're totally right? I never really thought about it that way. I just thought I would throw more leads into my system and, by happenstance, I'm going to close more deals. And, what you want to say to a prospect like that is, hey man, if you have all kinds of holes in your cup, right? Let's say your cup is your business and we're pouring in leads or water and they're all spilling out the holes, right? Let's tighten up those holes and then let's add the water to the cup and really turn on the leads. Once we know the process is dialed in, once it's converting, right? Once we're getting, we're pre-qualifying properly, dial in the process, and then let's turn on the faucet and fill up that cup. So that's a quick little analogy you can make, and they're going to totally get it. Be like, oh shoot, I never thought about it that way. And then at that point, we'll be like, cool, man. So based off everything you told me, what I'd recommend is let's hop on a brief little 15-minute chat sometimes in the next couple of days. I'll ask you a few more questions about your business in particular, what you're looking to accomplish, and see if I can't give you some, suggestions and next action steps on how to accomplish that, which transitions them to the triage process. Now, we're going to go more into depth into this as we go through this, but I just want to run through this whole slide and the next couple before we dive into the whole triage process. But what we do different between what would have been in the old process where I'm at step 3 was step 2, and then it went right to step 6, right? So what we instill here is a couple extra things. 2 things I really want to point out about the triage process is the main objective of the triage is to make sure the prospect is a good fit. It's not to set them with the advisor. That is your main objective once you know they're a good fit, but it's really, as much as this is a pre-qualifying call, also look at it as a disqualifying call. You don't want bad prospects and bad fits and people that aren't going to be willing to move forward with your program or service to go through your process and ultimately take up your time or your closer's time on the calendar. A, you're not going to keep good talent if you're putting crappy prospects through. And B, it's just going to be a frustrating sales cycle. And you're going to get to the end and people are going to say, I want to buy Ray, but I can't afford it. Like, how many of you guys have that happen where you do your whole process, you pre-qualify, you think you did, you get to the sales call, they're like, hey man, I love your offer. Oh shoot, way out of my price range. Sorry, can't afford it. And that's like the end. So what we're going to do is really tighten that up so that doesn't happen, or mitigate it at least. I can't say it doesn't happen, but it happens very, very rarely in our businesses with our process. So 2 main aspects of the triage: 1, to make sure they're a good fit. 2nd, and we'll talk about this more, is to get a soft yes, to financially pre-qualify them without having to dive into finances. So again, we'll talk about that more. It'll make a lot more sense. But what we do from the transition of the triage call to the close call is we implement a couple more things. So when I finish that close call, Jesse, I'll just say, pretend you're the prospect. All right, Jesse, so based off everything you mentioned here today, right? We're going to be speaking with our senior advisor, Christian, Thursday at 2, and Christian will give you a great breakdown and more specifics on exactly what we do and how that can fit into your business. So more about price points, the timeline, the actual deliverables, and what the strategy looks like, and how that ultimately gets you to your goal of, an additional 10 clients per month. So that being said, I'm going to do 2 things after I hang up this call, Jesse. 1, I'm going to do a quick little messenger introduction. Guys, this is step 5 here on my screen. A quick little messenger introduction between yourself and Christian, the advisor you're going to be speaking with. And what I'm going to do is just reiterate the time of the call. That way we all have eyeballs on it. And I really just want to open up a chain of communication between yourself and Christian. That way, if one of you guys is running a few minutes late or what have you, you guys are already in contact. In addition, I'm going to fill in Christian on everything we spoke about today, Jesse. That way you don't have to rehash that information. You guys can really get the most productivity out of that call. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Second thing I'm going to do is send you over a quick little 6-minute video, which is really a program overview of the sales mastery course that you'll be speaking with Christian about on Friday on your call, right? So get a chance to go through that video. That will help you be most prepared. And please take away any questions or takeaways from that video, and Christian will kick off the call and really address those for you. So that's an overview of the process. Jesse, anything I left out or you want to weigh in on and tighten up?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty spot on, man. I mean, and guys, just so we're all aware, guys and girls, so we're all aware, everything here that we're going to be showing you, this just it's not just closing. It's not just the triage process or qualifying process. It's the entire A to Z spectrum of everything that we do from the first time you engage with somebody. Again, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, email, what have you, and all the way through to the close call. So everything we're covering here, whether you have your own offer or you're a rep or things you can add into what you're doing, we're trying to give you the entire spectrum as to what we do and what's allowed us to scale our businesses and allow you to have that information to provide to your offer and things of that nature. So again, some people take away bits and pieces from the beginning, the middle, the end, but we're going to go full spectrum on everything. And this is just more so the first engagement. The next thing we're going to start talking about is going to be more like the triage when you're actually on a phone call or a Zoom call. But hopefully everyone has like full clarity on that. We're going to go A to Z, full spectrum of everything that we do in our entire process, our entire client acquisition system.
Yeah. The reason why I touched on this first is because this is part of what makes 6, the close call, convert at a much higher percentage. This is what increases close percentage and show up rates, is having this process. You have to think about your sales process as being like an awareness spectrum for your prospect, right? When they first come in contact with you, when it's the engagement phase, whether it's an ad or organic, this is what we would call an unaware audience. This person probably knows nothing about you or your company with first engagement, right? So a prospect's awareness or sophistication level kind of goes like this. First, they're unaware. Then they become problem aware, meaning they understand that they have a problem, or they start to learn about what problem you solve. Then they become solution aware. Then they become what's called product aware. And then they become your most aware audience. And that's people that are ready for your offers and ready to buy. So what this process is doing is also taking them along that awareness level. So by the time they get on the call, they're ready to actually make a buying decision, and they know an offer is going to be presented, right? We're not going to kind of pull the old bait and switch like certain sales companies do. They tell you you're getting on a full strategy session. They're going to do a deep dive with their senior advisor and give you a great, strategy and business overview. And then wham, they whack you with a 10K offer you weren't even expecting. Like, we do it in a much different manner to increase the effectiveness and the, ethical aspect of it. That's super important to us. So yeah, we'll dive into all the rest of that and make sure it makes sense. But this process is super important to have dialed in for a couple of quick reasons, right? So what I talked about before was when we're having rejections, objections, when we're having low metrics, show up rates, close rates, right? And certain things, I can usually go back and figure out what's going on with my process. So, if we're getting constant rejections, or I think about it, it means we're really not assigning a good new frame. It means we're really not showing, hey man, this is what you thought was the problem, but this is a real problem. Does that make sense? So when we were to ask if that makes sense, that means we would get a lot of kind of, Ray, it doesn't really see how that would work for me, as opposed to a strong frame of acceptance there. When we have a good frame, they'll say 100% Ray, that totally makes sense. I see how that applies to me. So I know when I'm getting constant things like that, I got to go back and maybe tweak my frame. Or, for instance, I'm getting constant no-shows, right? What I didn't provide, or what a lot of people are providing, is a resource and something, a homework assignment, a video, something to create obligation and more of a commitment for the call. What that also does too, if you have your triage on Wednesday and they're not booked for your advisor till Friday, so that's maybe 48 hours without engagement. Now they're still seeing your content. They're hearing your voice. They're learning from you in between that call, which increases a couple of things, show up rates and the morale of the prospect and the education level. So another thing that homework assignment does, if you think about this, closers and advisors, right, is it really alleviates quite a bit of the explanatory part of the call, because the prospect has watched a product overview and they have a great little outline of what to expect. And it makes your segue into the call so easy. Hey, Jesse, did you get a chance to go over that video that Abe sent you the other day? Yeah, you did? Awesome, cool. So first, I'd love to know if you had any questions on that, or what were your biggest takeaways? Well, Ray, I love that you do one-on-one role plays and sales call audits for your reps. I see how that helps. So they're really already starting off the call, telling you what they like about your product, right? So that's another bonus of this. Or if we're just getting simple things like all pass, right? Or I have to think about it, where they're not creating alignment or we're not assigning a good frame. So again, I can really find out, where my process needs to be tweaked and optimized based off of the objections or, responses I'm getting from my marketplace. So that's something just to keep in mind. Jesse,
also to drive home kind of like the homework aspect, guys, just think of it like this. It, one, nurtures the prospect to know more about who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. Two, it increases your show rate like crazy, right? Because ultimately, if they've seen it, they've looked at it, they have interest, they have intent to buy, they're going to show up, right? So it's also another way along the process to qualify or disqualify somebody, see how serious they are. And honestly, as we engage and do this with our own businesses, our done for you accounts, like a lot of people will have like a show rate of 40 to 50% just by simply adding the proper SOP, right? Standard operating procedure of like adding homework or something, a resource that's nurtured, a small video, a small VSL, video sales letter, like a 2 to 3 minute clip of me talking about what we do or what have you. It really, really helps align things with that prospect, bring more authority to what you're doing, more confidence that you guys deliver, and the things that they're specifically looking for. So that alone is something that is absolutely huge to put into place. And honestly, not a lot of people do. I don't know why, but we've seen, show rates go from like 40 to 50% to on average, like 70, sometimes up to 80% on a lot of these offers where people already know the price is 5, 10, 15 grand to kind of enroll, but then they're still showing up. So ultimately, again, that is something that's very, very huge. And whether your business does it for you or you go and take it upon yourself to shoot a little video, a little clip about what it is that you guys do, the benefits, things that people are looking for in your offer, absolutely do that, man. You use it as evergreen, meaning you can use it forever, right? Just continue to send it over and over and over. And the great thing is the more feedback you get from your closing calls at that time, you can adjust that video because you're getting market feedback on what people want. Hey, what'd you like about that video? Well, this. And then you get into the conversation. Okay, well, what is it? Some things you're looking additional on top of that. Well, I want X, Y, and Z. And once you get 5 or 10 people to tell you, I want X, Y, and Z, you start to add that into your process and continue to optimize. So again, that homework piece, very, very good for multiple reasons. Nurtures the process, a better show rate, and it gives you market feedback on how to optimize your offer and your process as well.
Perfect. I see a couple of questions in the chat. Just so you guys know, we are going to have a Q&A segment at the end. Jonathan, you had a really good question there. I'd like to elaborate on that if you're still on the call at the end. Hopefully you are. Jesse did give you a pretty solid answer, but I'll elaborate a little more. But you guys, if you have questions right when I'm talking about something, or Jesse and something comes up, type it in the chat and we'll get back to it, or just make a note of it and save it for when I get to the Q&A section at the end. So next, what I want to dive into is, based off everything we were talking about, right? What I want to give you some more information on now is the triage call. So that would be really the next part of the process that we're going to give you a bit of a framework and overview of what we do and run through that. And then we'll get into the actual sales call and where you guys probably want the most of our attention to be focused. But it's super important to understand all this and realize that there's roles. Like, I know there's a few of you guys mentioned in the chat being beginners, right? If you're being a beginner and you're looking to get into high ticket sales, one thing I would say, and what led to my success very quickly, is I started in this role as a specialist, taking triages, and it really helped me understand, you know, A, the criteria that I need to find out to assess people's situation on how we can best help them. But B, it really got me a lot more familiar and understanding with the marketplace. That way, when I did transition to an advisor or a closer role, it was a much smoother transition. So again, if you're learning a whole new offer and you're just new to high ticket sales and you just get placed into a closer role, you also are kind of learning the market, the lingo, and it's a lot all at once. So it's a really good transition and something else to think about. So
one thing to add to that too, Ray, is yes, I guess more so, and I'll ask the question here, and please put in the chat, you know, where you're at, what you feel would be best for you. If you feel right now you're, you know, very new, you're looking to really understand, and you think a specialist role would be the best place for you to start, put specialist. Or if you're new and if you're more experienced, what have you, you feel closer is where you want to be, put closer. I will tell you right now that the average specialist and a lot of the done for you campaigns that we do are making anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 a month. Closers will obviously be higher. The nice thing about starting off as a specialist is you're going to see the process of what happens before a call gets to you, right? Once you transition to a closer. So it's very, very important to understand the entire spectrum of the entire sales process. And if you start there, a lot of our individuals that come and work with us in our mentorship program will start as a specialist. Some go to closers, just depending upon where they want to be. But most of them transitioned into a closer within like 30 to 60 days, just because they become so efficient at the front end process. They understand on the back end how to really tie things down properly off of what they've seen from, again, the first interactions with the clients and what they're specifically looking for. So again, if you're looking to be more of a specialist role, that's what you're more interested in, type specialist. If you're looking for more of a closer role, again, put in closer for me, please.
Awesome. I see some people already filled that in. Yeah. So when we talk about the triage, as I said, right here, highlighted, the aim of the triage is to find out if somebody is fit or is a fit or not, right? That's your number one objective. And a simple framework that we like to follow to make sure we get the base level information is really the simply, you know, the what, who, where, why, how, right? So what does that mean, right? First off, what does this business do, or what's their offer, right? Secondly, who is their target market and how do they acquire their customers currently, right? Where are they at now? Where do they want to get to? Whether that's revenue goals, whether that's number of leads they're bringing in, whether that's number of clients that's signed, you have to figure that out as you get, you know, more into the conversation with them. But that's what you want to focus on, right? Why do they want to get there? Why is it important? For instance, if you're talking to a real estate agent, you know, sometimes it's as simple as one more question. Hey, Jesse, why did you decide to get in real estate? And why is it important for you to close 5 deals per year, whatever their goals are, right? And then how are they planning to accomplish that, right? Or what's stopping them from getting there, right? So a great segue, and a lot of people, there's kind of a debate on what's being taught in sales trainings, and I'm going to let you, Jesse, give his take on this shortly after. But whether it's the triage call for the specialist or the sales call for your closer or your advisor, a lot of people teach how to frame the call, right? Hey, Jesse, this is what to expect. We're going to do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you think about it, you know, and this paragraph kind of says that, right? If you think about it, a lot of people want to take control of the call. That's called framing, right? But, you know, it's really so their ego feels in control. All you're doing when you're framing a sales call, especially being in the space more and more, is framing yourself as a sales rep and possibly building up resistance right from the start. So rather than pre-framing the call, I start with something super simple as, hey, Jesse, what inspired you to really want to hop on the call today and find out, more about what we do, right? And then they're going to be like, oh, I saw your ad and I was interested in the pay-per-close job system, or hey, I saw one of your posts and you guys said you can increase people's close rate by 10%. So I wanted to find out more about, but you're going to know within the first sentence of the call in a super open-ended, non-intrusive question, what's really the number one motivator or question or factor on why they're on this call, right? Super important. Jesse, what's your thoughts on framing?
Yeah, framing, I would never frame, guys. Just think of it like this, right? More and more people are coming into this space. More and more people are getting on calls, taking a look at, whatever they're inquiring about. And 90% of people will set a frame of a call. Hey, we're going to cover this. I'm going to go over this, ask you some questions. And at the end of it, if it makes sense, we'll talk about it. Would you like to invest with us? Does that sound good to you? Immediately, red flag, right? Resistance is up. Friction is up, right? Everything that we do, it's essentially doing the exact same thing that I said there, but doing it by asking open-ended questions, right? Kind of like Ray said, hey, Ray, saw you clicked on the ad, booked in here. Looks like you said you're doing X, Y, and Z, kind of looking for that. That on top of that being said, like, what else is it you're looking for on the call here? What inspired you to book a call here today? Tell me more about that, right? I'm catering it to him and what he wants, his agenda, but I'm actually running the conversation. However, he feels like I'm asking what's best for him, why he's here, versus me telling him how it's going to go. So everything that Ray and I do is done specifically to remove resistance or remove friction, however you want to say it, to allow someone to feel comfortable to tell you the actual reasons of why they're there, what they're looking for, and if we can actually provide a solution, because you're getting the real answers versus I already got a screen up because I feel like I'm talking to a salesperson from the first 30 seconds of the call. Like, you're already fucked straight up. So at the end of the day, everything we do is to remove friction or resistance. And it's always asked in an open-ended question manner, which you're going to see in our framework all the way through. So hopefully that explains it as well.
Very good. Very good. And that kind of leads right into the next part, right? So after somebody tells me what made them intrigue them to hop on the call, hey, it was X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. That's great, Jesse. Awesome that you're interested in finding out more. We'll dive right into that. I'll cover that here shortly, right? But, quite frankly, I'm not even sure if I can help you at this point, right? All I know is a little bit about you and what you just told me. So why don't we start off, if you can give me some more background, and let's just keep this all about you. I just really want to understand what you're trying to accomplish, where you're coming from. And later on in the call, maybe we'll talk about solutions, or I'll give you some next steps. But how about a little background on exactly what you do, what you offer, what your price point is, who you help and who you work with. Just tell me a little about your business. And I really start with an open-ended, broad question that's probably going to eliminate half these questions later, right? How much are you making per month? What are your current lead generation channels? So if I don't find that information, and we're going to get down to this, I'm going to cover it. But a lot of times, just by asking this, hey, Ray, I'm a business coach. I'm currently charging $2,500 for my 12-week program. I kind of work with startup business owners, people looking to hit their first 10K months. And what I really provide is organic outreach and sales training, helping them land their first high ticket client and ultimately hit 10K months, right? So he might tell me, something like that, right? But that was a lot of information I got by asking one question rather than all these short questions where you're going to get yes, Ray, no, Ray. I'm a business coach, right? And it just stops at that. Let them elaborate, open up, and talk. So open-ended questions and kind of two-part questions minimum are super important, and we'll use that a lot. Jesse, you want to add to that? You're muted. Okay, or you're not there. Maybe he cut out. I'm not sure. But either way.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Sorry, there we go. So yeah, I was just saying here, the frame it's taking away resistance, right? It's taking away that friction. Like, I don't even know if I can help you, right? Everything that we're doing is asked in position to allow someone again to open up and have it be as much of an organic conversation as possible. And as Ray said, also open-ended questions, right? It opens the door. So again, if you were to ask Ray from when him and I were in the trenches selling our own offer, right? The percentage of time that I would speak versus the prospect, what percentage of the time do you think I would speak, Ray, because I was asking open-ended questions to get them to open up and drive the conversation? How much of the conversation was I talking percentage-wise?
Yeah, I listened to a lot of those. 25 to 30% of the time.
So it's a lot more effective when you're able to ask questions and have people open up and guide the conversation, right? Selling is not telling. So again, open-ended questions are your best friend, because that opens the door to everything that you need to see if this is the right fit for this person and if I can help them. So yes, absolutely.
Cool. And exactly what Jesse said there. Not many businesses and not many sales reps are telling you. Awesome. So quite frankly, I'm not even sure if I can help you at this stage. Let's keep this all about you and tell me a little more about X, Y, and Z, right? So that is reducing the sales resistance. And then they're thinking like, hey, this person isn't a pushy sales guy. They're really here to advise me and consult me on what's best, right? So just that line alone, believe it or not, really lowers the defense level and the guard of your prospects, right? So then we get into the gathering intel, what I just said, what I really highlighted up here, the what, who, where, when, how, why, how. I said that too fast. So we really dive into all that with particular prospects. And again, I don't want to spend super a lot of time on this because I want to get into our sales call framework, but it's really, simple things. How much are you currently making per month, right? And we don't just ask it like that. It would be more like what's in quotes here, right? So tell me, currently monthly, what's the monthly revenue of your business and where would you like to be in 90 days? So instead of how much you're making per month, which is actually what you're asking, again, I want to ask it more of a two-part question. What are you currently making and where would you like to be? What are your goals, right? So that lets them elaborate. Hey, Ray, I'm currently making 15K a month. Ideally, we want to be making 50K a month. Now that I have all the systems in place, I think we're ready to scale. I have the fulfillment all dialed in. I really just need to get my marketing and advertising in check so we can hit those numbers, right? Boom, awesome, great, right? And then like we need to know currently, all right, they just told me they need to get their lead gen and marketing and advertising in check, right? So, all right, Jesse, what are you currently doing to acquire clients and leads? And what's that process look like, right? So we need to dive into that a little more. Okay, well, you told me you wanted to get from 15 to 50K per month, right? What's your current game plan to get there? What are you trying, or maybe what's your biggest roadblock in trying to accomplish that, right? All things like that. So we're going to go through the whole, gathering intel or assessing the situation aspect. Once we know they're a good fit, that's the real point where up to here, that's your main objective, right? Up to defining out the who, what, why, when, where, how, right? And I want to heavily reiterate what I put in this paragraph. This is just a framework, right? And that's why we go off frameworks and not scripts. So this is our framework that I will go customize to each offer of all the clients I work with based off their questions that they're asking their prospects and their market. If it was a real estate offer, it would have been a little different than this. Or if it was everything would be different. So keep in mind, this is a framework, but what you need to really get good at is asking questions specific to each call. Use your smarts and intuition, dig around to find out more, ask questions and open-ended questions to dig below the surface, right? We don't necessarily just want surface level problems. We want the root and the deeper problems and issues. And even more so opening that up for the closer to really dive into that on the next call. So all that's super important. And then once we realize they are a good fit, that's where we're going to transition to an advisor. And in the specialist role, this is where I've seen the most trouble come. So I did see, a handful of people minimum put specialists in the chat when Jesse said, like, where would you want to start potentially? That's usually the biggest, like, I don't know the right word, like the biggest point where they get a little apprehensive, like they're almost walking on eggshells and they kind of clam up a little and lose their confidence. It's like now that you've assessed them and they're a good fit, it should be a smooth transition, right? And first we like to tie them down. So Jesse, based off what you told me, it seems like if you had consistent leads and your marketing and advertising dialed in, you think you could get to that 50K goal? Do you think that's your main problem? Yeah, Ray, I totally think that's my main problem. So what we really want to do first is tie them down to one specific problem. The most pressing problem, particularly, again, the sales rep will dig into that a little deeper. This is only a 15-minute conversation. And then really dig into the urgency aspect without asking, is it urgent, right? It's simple. Hey, Jesse, is this something you want fixed like yesterday or 6 months down the road? Like, what's your timeline for really getting this fixed? Like, no, Ray, I want this fixed now, right? Okay, I hear you, man. I completely understand why you want your marketing and advertising fixed ASAP. I can imagine that's being frustrating to like not be able to solve this problem, right? Based off what you told me and you wanted to really dial in that problem, and this is something I believe we can actually get you help with and moving very quickly toward your goal of 50K a month, like as soon as possible. So what I'd recommend from here is getting on a call with my senior advisor, Christian. He can really chat with you further, dive much deeper into your business and make sense. And if it makes sense for you, he's going to show you the exact path to help you get to those 50K months within the next 90 days. So would you be open to having that call? Yeah, that was kind of a mouthful. That's why I want to break it up with a couple of questions, right? Is that correct? Yeah, Ray, that's spot on. That's my biggest problem. Is this something you want fixed sooner rather than later? Yeah, I want it fixed now. And then I'm going to give my recommendations. Now I know he knows that this is an issue. He wants it fixed like yesterday. The best thing I can do is give him next directions on how to go get this problem solved, right? So, what I like to do from there really is get into the soft yes. And once you know they're a good fit, I would say this is the most important part of the call. This is something 9 out of 10 specialists probably don't do right now. And it's a way to dig into finances without digging into finances, because I don't want the specialist to have financial conversations. But what I do want them to do is, something like this. This would be really the soft yes, right? Now, Jesse, if everything makes sense on your end when you have that call with Christian on Friday, and you can see a clear path to how to hit 50K months, and of course the finances line up and make sense, would there be anything else that would stop you from moving forward and investing in your business on that call? Right? That's the prerequisite and the soft yes. So notice one thing I want to break down super quick, right?
And guys, the soft yes is meaning we're going to get them a soft yes to be willing to invest into furthering their business to their career. So when we say soft yes, that means we're just asking that question. Essentially, that specialist is taking that punch or taking that bullet to find out like, hey, provided if this makes sense, would you be willing to invest to further your business at that time? Right. And ultimately, that whole process, we're actually trying to push to get a no, an NO. That way we know what the real reason is or what the resistance would be to not invest, right? Well, money, or I got to talk to my spouse, or I'm in a different program, or whatever the hell it is, right? It allows us to get that objection and then re-isolate that and tie that down. And then be able to position it back to a call. Hey, I totally get it, right? Finances have to match up. But provided we can make it make sense for you financially on that call, at that time, would you be willing to invest or further your business? Well, yeah, if you can do that for me, then I'm in. Boom. Now we know what the issue could potentially be. It may be a money issue when we get the presentation. However, if I make it make sense financially for them, they're willing to invest. So you're getting a soft yes to investing, which is going to get them a little more excited to get to the call. And obviously give you more impression that they're willing to invest should they speak to Bob, Joe, whoever the hell it is on the next call. So that's what the soft yes is.
Rad, good question there. I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. Let me just clarify this point, and then I'll touch on that, because I think I was going to anyway. But thank you for bringing it to the forefront, because that's a great question. But if you notice one thing in there, right, that I did is, so there's 2 ways you can really phrase this, right? And what a lot of people do is be like, hey, if this all made sense, would you be willing to invest in your business? And what happens, generally speaking, and I've done a lot of research on this, it's usually people just answer yes. They don't really think about it, right? Hey, Ray, if it all makes sense, would you be willing to invest? Yeah, Jesse, of course I would, right? Or instead asking them, would there be anything that would stop you from investing? Right? So that gets them to actually think about it for a minute. And then I can maybe get that objection now and bite the bullet for my advisor. So a few things could happen there, right? Hey, Jesse, there's one thing that would stop me from investing. I don't make any decisions without my spouse. I don't make any decisions without my business partner. Right now I know, okay, on that call with Christian on Friday, now I know I got to tie that back down. And hey, Jesse, is this something that your partner is going to be able to attend, or should we reschedule for when a time you can both jump on so we can, make sure that we're making a decision, right? Things like that. So, that's another good point that I just wanted to make by tweaking that little verbiage by a couple of quick words, right? You're going to kind of change their thought process on how they think about that. And Jesse said it perfect. We're trying to get the no, the NO, not the KNOW, but we're trying to get no's right now. No, I wouldn't invest because of this, because of that. Cool. All right, let's talk about that real quick, right? And that's what is ultimately going to make the final decision on whether they set them onto the advisor's call. If they just tell me flat out right here, no, Ray, there's no chance I'm going to make an investment at all, even if you show me a clear path to hitting 50K months, I'm not going to book that call through. I'm not going to waste an hour of my time or my advisor's time. If he was flat out, I would ask him a couple more questions. Now, in response to what Rad just asked, like, hey, when you ask this, do you get money questions? So occasionally you will, and I'll tell you exactly how I handle that. I'll reread the sentence here, or the paragraph. Hey, Jesse, if everything makes sense on your end and you can see a clear path to hitting your 50K months, and of course, right, the finances all line up and make sense, would there be anything that would stop you from investing? Well, no, Ray, I don't think so, but that really depends on the price points. Like, how much are we talking for this program, right? Is that kind of what you meant, Rad? You can unmute for a sec just to make this quicker.
Yeah, there was that side of it, but then also if they do say that finances are an issue, whether the specialist then just wraps that up as a bundle to hand over to the closer, or whether they do some sort of work there to try and diffuse.
Sure. So if they find out, oh, go ahead, Jesse.
I was going to say, yeah, no, they do the work right there to diffuse, right? So, I'm like, hey, there's a few ways you can say it, right? Would you have, was there any reason you would invest on the call at that time? Would you have any hesitation to invest in the call at that time, provided it made sense? Well, no, I couldn't do it. Okay, not a problem. Tell me more about that. What if this made complete sense for you, then what would stop you from investing to finally hit the goals that you've not been able to attain the last 3, 6, 9 months? What would hold you back? Well, just probably money, right? Oh, I totally get it, man. It has to line up financially, correct? Yeah. Okay. And on that call, say, provided we can make it make sense for you financially, whatever that looks like for you at that time, then would you be willing to invest to further your business, provided it makes sense to do so? Well, yeah. If you guys can make it make sense for me, then I'm in. So you're just kind of probing, right, to find out what the issue could be, and then realigning it with what we can potentially do. And right, how can I make it make sense financially? Well, there could be a 2-pay, there can be a 3-pay. Some offers provide funding, right? Like you can get like a funding, right? As far as that goes. So there's a lot of ways to do that, but it's just preparing your closer to actually understand what it is. Plus, they may not show up to the call because they're like, shit, I can't afford this. Like, I'm already out. Like, I'll book a call, and they don't show. But I diffuse the situation saying, cool, well, at that time, if we can make it make sense financially and it fits with where you need to be, you see this as a fit, right? At that time, then would you be willing to invest? Well, yeah. If you can make it make sense for me financially, then I don't know why I wouldn't do it. Okay, cool. Right. So it just allows you to kind of come back and again, tie it down, isolate it. So they will actually physically show up on the call. And again, I want to understand what the potential objection could be. And it's good because this is a part of the qualifying and disqualifying process, right? Just like Ray said, if they're not going to invest, then don't waste our time. Don't waste my time. Like, don't, see you later. You know what I mean? That's totally fine. We're just basically setting our closer up to fail at that point, if that's the case. Like, just, you know what I mean? And then he's going to get pissed and having calls where people are just, absolute bunk. So yeah, that's why you do that. And then the triage specialist will be able to alleviate that, or at least tie it down to where it can make sense. And if it does, they will invest. And again, in our mentorship, our one-on-one stuff that we have in our program in the Sales Lab, this is something that we really, really, really train heavily on. Again, a lot of people are very uncomfortable trying to get objections, where we actually push to get the objection. So we teach you guys how to be comfortable being uncomfortable all the time. But once you get that process in place, it eliminates so much of the bullshit, so much of the brush offs, and the close rate will actually skyrocket with people that have intent to invest because we've already overcome something that they thought would have been an issue on the close call. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. No, it's good. Brings it out and has a conversation and you don't give them the price, obviously, but it's all about having the flexible T's and C's once they get there.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. I highly advise against teaching your specialist not to give the price on that call. Now, they can in certain situations as they become more sophisticated and advanced, and they really know that the prospect is they just want to make sure it's within their range, right? So some people just want to hear that your program was within, 1 to 5K, and it's not 20 grand, right? Just know if it's in their buying range. So you can maybe get to that, but there's a couple kind of great responses that worked for me. The first offer I worked in as a specialist, the 2 packages at the time were $10,000 and $18,000, right? So what we were trained to say, and there was some truth to it, and I still use this pretty much. I don't know if we were trained to say. I think I kind of merged that into my spiel when I worked there. But hey Ray, how much is the program in particular, right? You asked me if I was willing to invest, if finance is all lined up. So how much are we talking? Well, Rad, we have quite a few different programs, right? We literally have certain clients that we send free resources, and we have people that pay us up to $25,000 to work with us, and kind of everything in between. So that's why I want you to speak with Christian. He'll be able to give you a much more dialed in, outline of what price points look like by really knowing the amount of support and what you need to be successful in your business, right? It doesn't really make much sense for me to go over price with you now if I don't even know if we can help you, right? Why should I, so Christian will be able to give you a lot more information, but it can be anywhere from, we'll send you over a cool little training to, some people pay us over 20K to work with us, everything in between, right? So that's one way you can handle it. And again, what I highlighted here is when we ask that question, if you think about it, we're really just asking if it makes sense, right? So they're not actually committing to anything here. All we're really saying is if I show you that this will work and this will help you and you can't afford it, would you buy? Right? Like that's what we're saying. So even when they say like there might be money issues, it's okay. I totally get that. And we like to work within people. So if you have this conversation with Christian and we can show you a clear path, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, but let's game plan something for you so we can get you these results as soon as possible, right? That's another way you can go about it that reduces sales resistance and kind of disassociates from the outcome of the sale, right? Hey, man, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, let's build out a game plan when it's right for you. Finances have to make sense. If you don't have it today, obviously we're not going to make it work, but Christian can build out a game plan with you to get you rolling, you know, when it makes sense for you, right? So those are a couple kind of word tracks you can use to dive into that.
And it's too early there to use the money aside because you're not talking about money yet. So
exactly. The only thing I say anything close to that is right if the finances line up and make sense, right? But money aside is more for what we're diving into next, right? Now we're going to dive into the actual close aspect of the call. I'm not going to cover too much of the homework and the obligation or the alignment phase. I went over those briefly when I covered micro commitments, and we want to spend our time, especially since we only have about 25 minutes or so left. We want to run through this and then do some Q&A. Yeah.
One thing too, Ray, anybody at this point, again, that just kind of fully goes over the entire triage or specialist process. Again, if you want more information, learn about what it is that we do, how we help people, things that we do in that nature. Ray, can you drop a link for someone to book a call if they want further information on more of the specialist process, how we can help, what we do, even if, again, if it's free resources, getting you in the right direction, we don't give a shit. If you want more information about it, just let us know. And if it is working with us closer, fantastic. If not, we want to help you guys get where you need to go moving forward. But can we drop a link in there for people to book for the specialist process?
I'll pull it up here shortly. Or Steven or Ibrahim, if either of you guys have my booking link handy, just because I'm screen sharing and presenting, one of those guys can drop it in the chat here in the next few seconds. Otherwise, I'll do it before the end of the call.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's a great point. If anyone wants to chat with us and speak with us in a one-on-one capacity and that is honest, like, on the conversations I have, I send free resources and just give suggestions to probably about half the people I speak to. And then, you know, if they're a good fit to work with us and they want more information, of course, I'll take them further in the process as well. But that's a great point. And just get some more information about either how we can help you close more deals in your own business, you know, increase your close percentage and your cash collected if you're closing in another offer, teach you how to get onto a good offer. Or if you're a business owner looking for someone to manage your sales team, we can talk about all of that. But that's not really the intent here today. We want to give you the implementable stuff. Hopefully you guys have already taken some value, but let's dive into this aspect as well. So I want to handle a couple of our internal mottos, for lack of a better phrase, or, you know, Jesse said it. I think sometimes we switch the words when we say, I like it this way better, but probably our biggest thing that we want to get across to people, and on this sales call in particular, is telling isn't selling. When I audit calls, that's a big part of what I do with the reps I work with to make them better is they do self audits and I do audits of their calls. And there's so many times I hear a rep kind of scream from the rooftops without screaming, but you could tell he just wants to say, hey, Mr. Prospect, I know my program will help you accomplish X, Y, and Z, right? Wouldn't it be much more powerful if you could ask the question where that phrase came out of the prospect's mouth and they said, hey, Ray, I know your program will help me accomplish X, Y, and Z, right? So what I mean by telling isn't selling means anything that comes out of your mouth as a sales rep is going to be met with a certain level of bias or skepticism from the prospect because you have a desired outcome to make a sale at the end of the call. But if it comes out of their mouth, what do you think the likelihood is they're going to believe what they say as opposed to what you say as a sales rep, right? So just keep that in mind. But it's really telling isn't selling, how to sell ethically, right? Not strong arm people into making bad decisions, but perhaps persuade them how to make a decision that is going to benefit their life and give them a transformation, a financial gain, an ROI, whatever that is. And the last aspect is we're always doing this based off solutions. So if when we're going through this framework and we can kind of assess as a closer, this isn't the best fit for me, I'm not the best person to help this person, we really shouldn't even be presenting an offer at that point, right? We should just give them maybe a referral or some suggestions or be straight up. Prospects totally, respect being treated, with professionalism and transparency. So rather than stringing them along and making them an offer to take the $5,000 from them just to make a sale, even if you're not sure if you can help them, that's not very ethical sales. And that's not what's in the best interest of the prospect, right? So keep those things in mind. And the other thing I just want to tie in that ties into this from the soft yes and the triage is the best sales reps hold their prospects accountable. So if we get to this call and we get to the end and we get to hey man, I'm a 10 out of 10. I need your program. I want it, but I just can't afford to buy it. I'm not ready to make an investment. Well, then, Jesse, why did you tell Ray on the call on Wednesday that you would be willing to invest if this made sense? Right. And you can kind of put it back on them to what they said. That's also another reason we do that financial pre-qualifier. Jesse, you want to speak on that before I go, or just keep going?
Yeah, no, I mean, selling is not telling is 100% the way that we position everything here. Just think of it like this, right? If this is a very, very first time that you're talking to me and I tell you all this shit, you're not going to believe it. Versus if I can ask questions, drive the conversation in the proper manner, and have you say it, reassert it, and tie it down. Now, at the end of the conversation, you're going to be rebutting against yourself. Most people don't do that. So ultimately, if it comes out of my mouth, you will not believe it. If it comes out of yours, you damn well believe that is actually a fact. So again, selling is not telling. And that's why this open-ended format, this frame that we have is so crucial to utilize, because again, it's driven off of solutions, what's in the best interest of the prospect, and being able to allow them to honestly move out of their own way and make a decision that's going to benefit themselves, their clients, etc. So absolutely.
So this is the cheat sheet that we mentioned, and we're going to run through this quickly. Whoever wants this, I'm going to recommend two things. Type the words CS in the chat here, and please, Ibrahim and Stephen, keep notes, or whoever invited you to this event. So somebody either got your email, invited you for email, or somebody sent you the direct link in Messenger. Just reply to that email or that Messenger conversation telling them cheat sheet. So those will be the two easiest ways. My guys can take notes. So whoever puts a CS in the chat here, make sure we get this over to you, or just shoot a direct message or an email back to whoever invited you to the event. And that would be an easy way to communicate and make sure we get this to everybody properly, because I don't want people to ask for it and us not get it to them. So I just want to make sure we're clear on how you can best get that. But let's run through this super quick, and then we'll do a Q&A. Again, I would like to spend a little more time on this, but this took a while just to get through everything, which is expected because we're covering a very, very lot here. That's why we're going to give this to you to go over, but let's give you the basics. So we usually break our framework or overview. Again, we don't use scripts because we customize these, and we really want to make the main objection of this, and Jesse will tell you how he and I both do this well, and a lot of our students, is to turn this framework or outline into an organic flowing conversation. So you're not scripted, robotic, so it doesn't feel interrogative, right? All of the things confrontational, all the things that sales reps have doubts or, limiting self-beliefs or are apprehensive about in sales, that can all be undone with just the way the flow of the conversation. So introduction is, exactly what it sounds like. I usually do a quick little icebreaker, something similar to, hey, Jesse, thanks for hopping on the call today, right? Where are you calling in from in the country or the world or whatever, right? Have a little small talk about where you're from. And again, we really start off without framing. So I handle this one of two ways, right? Hey, man, what inspired you to want to hop on the call today? Or if they went through my process for one of my businesses and they've been through that alignment and homework phase, it would be, hey, Jesse, great to chat with you here today. Hey, based off the Messenger introduction that Abe gave me, let me just recap here. It says you're a digital business owner, currently doing 15K a month, looking to hit 50K a month. Really, lead gen, marketing, and advertising in particular are what you're struggling with now and what you wanted more information about. Does that all sound right? So I'm going to rehash in a quick 1 or 2 minutes, and then I'm going to touch on the resource I sent them. Okay, great. So all that being said, I'm glad you clarified all that or elaborated on that, right? Just make sure that information was transferred right from the specialist to the closer, and rehash that with the prospect so they know that you listened, right? And it's even going to give them a little better experience when they're like, oh man, your specialist nailed that all spot on, Jesse, right? Everything you said is 100% accurate. Great. So did you have a chance to go over the resource that he sent you? Yeah, I went through it. Great. Was there anything that wasn't clear? Did you have any questions? And if not, what was your biggest takeaway, right? Oh, well, Ray, I love that you do X, Y, and Z, and they're already kind of hyping themselves up. So I gave a quick little example about that earlier. That's a great little way to start. Then we're going to dive into the situation. This is going to be custom to the particular offer, niche, and marketplace. Jesse and I are working with our sales mastery private students, and we had a session, I think it was yesterday's when we did the role play, and we did some more of it on today's session, Jesse, earlier. But we really dive into, like, usually there's like 5 main criteria. So a quick example, if I run a marketing agency that is helping contractors and roofers in particular, I'm going to have a few basic questions I need to assess his situation. Jesse, let's role play this super quick. All right, Jesse. So basically, you are a roofing business owner and currently looking to take on more jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So how many jobs are you currently taking on a month right now?
We're like maybe 8 to 10.
Cool. And how many would you like to be taken on ideally?
Oh man, I'd love to be at like honestly double that. But if I can be at 20, even 25 is probably like the max that I could take on with my team right now. But I think 20 would be a great place to start. That'd be awesome.
Okay, so you can handle that flow. If I was able to potentially work with you and double the amount of jobs per month, you have the crew and the capability to handle that right now?
Yeah, I'm confident we can handle double what we're doing right now for sure.
Great, cool. What are you kind of currently doing to get your clients in the door?
Right now, just trying to push some ads. Don't really know much about that there. That'd be huge if we can get that going. But most of our stuff is referral and door knocking, which I'd like to get away from, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of outdated, right? That's kind of pounding the pavement isn't quite as effective as the digital marketing when you get that dialed in.
Yeah.
Cool. Last thing really is, what's the average job that you guys get? Let's just say you had 10 jobs. What would be the average price point? And what's the close percentage that your team closes deals at?
Yeah, right now our average price point is just right around 10,000. Safe to say right about there. And we're closing probably about 30, maybe 40% of the people we actually get to come through our whole process. But again, there's really hard to get guys to follow up on the sales side. Most sales guys have been pretty lazy. So just different ways we can improve there. But when we do talk to someone, it's about 30 to 40% close rate.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for that information. That gives me a lot better understanding, right? So that's about the only criteria I need to understand the situation. And I already know that he's a fit for what we can do, but I'm not going to tell him that yet. Now I want to dive into the problems, the impact of the problems, talk about solutions and the impact of solutions before we get into that. So I'm not going to role play the whole thing just because we don't have time, but this is really what we want to do. When we find out the problem, and in this case, it's really going to be his lead gen. He's trying outdated methods. He's just now started paid ads, but he's not too familiar with it, right? And he's looking to accomplish about 10 extra jobs per month. So I know all this stuff. So now instead of just like get the surface level problem, like ask him what his problem is. Well, Ray, it's really our lead gen and our marketing, right? I want to find out like, how long has that been a problem? What's causing the problem? What have you already tried, right? What has been the big roadblock with getting to that solution or that 20 jobs per month in this case? And then I might take that one question deeper. After I've, assessed his issues, I might say, okay, Jesse, so based off everything you just told me with that lead generation problem, you've been struggling for about 6 months with this, and you really want to get it addressed like sooner rather than later. What impact is this having on you, either, professionally or personally? Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, man, no, it's just frustrating, not being able to expand. Obviously, I have the abilities to do that with the teams that I have, but we're just not busy enough. And honestly, it's a huge pain in the ass having to go door knocking and, wasting hours on a day when, I know there's got to be a better way out there to get people in front of us that's, going to save time, effort, and energy and help us make more money. So it's been pretty frustrating overall on a business standpoint and personally. I like to do more things, but we can't really expand and add things. And having a couple kids, I'm sure you understand what I mean.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. So guys, by asking that question, simple little question that really ties into the emotional aspect of it and brings that to the forefront a little more, right? People always say no pain, no sale. I totally disagree with that. I think there's only about 15 to 20% of the market that you'll get on a call with that's in a dire pain, right? That's in a staying up all night situation, or they're in tears, or they're really in pain, right? Everybody says discover the pain points to make a sale, which is true to an extent, right? We do have to know their problems, but it's not always no sale, no pain. These people are also buying based off of emotions. Almost every purchase is some kind of emotion behind it. Now, we do have certain offers in B2B agencies where it's a lot more analytical, and you just have to make the math and the ROI check out. But still, people are buying largely based off of emotion. So one quick question to bring that more to the forefront is going to give you more ammunition later on when we get to the tie downs, right? A big mistake I see a lot of sales reps make is they'll assess the situation. They'll kind of know they can help them. They'll dive into the problem, sometimes not near as deep as I would recommend. Sometimes they'll just get the surface level, but sometimes they'll dive deep enough. And then they'll go into solutions. And okay, Jesse, based off what you told me, we have a perfect solution for you, right? I hate that approach. I would never die into that quite yet. What we always do, and let's see how this plays out. All right, Jesse. So basically, based off everything you told me and what you're looking to accomplish, and really the frustration levels you're dealing with professionally and personally. Let's say you were to partner together with an agency like ourselves here, to do your marketing, your outreach, your lead gen, all that. What does an ideal solution look like to you? Like, what do you think you need from us as a company to partner to be successful and hit those additional 10 jobs per month?
Honestly, just getting people in front of us that actually show up, that have some sort of qualification. That would be huge. Right now, we're just talking to anybody and everybody that we can, and it'd be nice to be able to pick and choose, right? Have a problem of like, oh, well, we got too many people that we can help, but right now it's just, I got to take what I can take. So that'd be huge if there was an easier way to have that, get more people in front of us, honestly.
So basically, what you're kind of saying there is if you had consistent, predictable leads coming in the door and a marketing system that gave you predictability and consistency, and you had a higher quality of prospect that was being pre-qualified based around your ideal parameters, you think you could be successful in landing those extra 10 jobs?
Oh yeah, I think we'd be much, much further along than where we are. I know what we're doing is pretty dated. I don't know what I don't know. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it could be something that can help. Again, I've never really done it. I don't know how to, but ultimately, if that's kind of what the process provides and the outcome we can get, I really don't see how we could lose or, do worse than what we're doing currently.
Great. So guys, I glanced over this because I'm trying to speed up a little bit for time and to make sure we can Q&A with you guys. But I went right into this. And based off, I already had enough information to do that. So based off what you just told me, Jesse, if you had consistency, more quality, predictability, you feel like you could achieve those extra 10 jobs per month? Again, isn't it much more powerful for me asking him and him telling me, yeah, Ray, I could totally accomplish that, rather than me saying, hey, Jesse, if I gave you consistent, predictable leads and pre-qualified them, I know you could get an additional 10 jobs per month with our system, right? Me telling him is a whole different approach and level of understanding than him saying, hey, Ray, I could totally accomplish that, right? And then we would get into kind of the temp check thing, and I like to do this kind of after I get into the presentation, obviously, and you've talked about some of the deliverables. So I'll kind of pre-qualify by saying that. But after you've rolled out the program, and the main reason when I dive into solutions, I want to ask him first, hey, what do you feel like you need? So I summed it up, but he basically told me consistent, predictable marketing system, and I need pre-qualified people that are, my ideal client ready to buy, right? That's basically what he summed up. Now, him telling me that, now when I go and present and talk about my deliverables, I'm going to really focus on the aspects of my program that deliver consistent, predictable marketing and leads to him, that deliver the quality, right? So I'm not going to go into the whole pitch, but the program I would present is what it's going to do, especially when we've gone through this whole process, this micro commitment process. We've triaged them properly. We've sent over some videos for them to get more educated. And then we've assessed the situation and the problems right on this call. When you get to asking that solution-based question, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to tell you what they need is exactly what's going to go in with your deliverables. So now you already know, and it came out of their mouth, the aspects of your program that you really want to highlight when you present, right? I know my program could deliver, say, 5 different deliverables, and I'm going to touch on them real quick when I present to Jesse, but I'm going to really highlight the one that does consistent, predictable leads in front of him, the one that really pre-qualifies his prospects. That's what I'm going to hammer home because he just told me that's what he needs to be successful.
Yeah.
Then after I've run through the program, go ahead.
Yeah, and to add to that too, guys, again, this is a very, very easy way to think about it. A lot of people, and this is how you can derail the process. Say you've had a perfect conversation up to this point. If you talk about the trip, everything that we can do for them versus the vacation, the solution that they want, you are going to confuse them and lose them. Why is that? I only care about the shit that I gave you that's most important to me. So let's talk about that top 10 or 15%. What's going to move the needle? Isolate that down. If he wants more questions on other stuff, then we can get to it. But focus on what they want. Don't talk about the trip, everything I can do for you, everything you're going to get. You talk about the vacation, the things that we can provide, the solutions to the issues that they have. And that is going to increase your close ratio, honestly, by 2x easily if you can do that, right? It's also going to eliminate you talking, right? And then getting them off track after we built up all this momentum of what they want to know, what they're looking for. And now I'm talking about systems over here or my media team and then this guy over. It's like, what? What do you mean? That's not what we talked about, right? So it doesn't matter about the trip, everything it takes to get there. talk about the vacation, right? Like what it's going to provide them, the top 10 or 15% of what they want. And again, you will see your close rate skyrocket.
Yep. And then Brad, you had mentioned earlier the finances aside. This is where I use that. Now, after I presented it, I'm going to do what I call a temp check, right? That's where I'm going to use something like that. So, hey, Jesse, based off everything we just discussed, right? In terms of, dialing in your marketing and consistent, predictable leads coming through the door, pre-qualifying your, prospects based around your ideal parameters, right? With all that being said, let's just take finances aside because obviously that has to line up, right? But in terms of what I've broken down for you on a scale of say 1 to 10, 1 being, Ray, this program sucks, hang up the call. 10 being, hey, I need this today. This will get me my extra 10 jobs per month. Where do you feel you fall on that end of the spectrum? And then the prospect's going to come back with, right, hey, Ray, it's an 8 or something like that, right? All right, Jesse, that's great that it's an 8, right? That means a couple things. 1, you see the value in what we provide. 2, you really see how this could work for you. Let me ask you something. You being an 8 is great, but like, what is stopping you from being a 10? Is there something I didn't mention that you feel like you need to be successful, or what would get you closer to that 10? So all I'm trying to do there is really isolate and find out before I get to the price point and actual, the assumed sale, for lack of a better phrase. I want to really isolate any objections now. So he might tell me, yeah, I'm an 8 out of 10 because you mentioned, dialing in consistent, predictable leads and pre-qualifying. But I think I would be super successful also if we had some sales training. I told you my team was closing between 30 and 40%. I think if we got closer to that 50%, that would give me a lot more certainty that, I could hit my extra 10 jobs per month. Oh, cool, man. Great that you pointed that out, Jesse. When I talked about our program, unfortunately, we do a lot of stuff with our clients and I didn't really cover everything. One additional thing we've done, we just partnered with this guy. He goes by the handle Roof Hustler online. Go check him out. But he's one of the top sales reps for all the roofing marketplace in the country. And now he's a professional sales consultant. Probably all your big nationwide competitors, they fly him out to do, weekend retreats and sales trainings with their team. Anyhow, long story short, we just partnered with him. He hosts 2 bi-monthly calls with all of our clients and their full sales team doing sales training. Top tactics that are trending in the marketplace now that sales reps are using to close more roofs. So if we also provide you with that training from a top tier caliber sales rep, now do you feel like you're closer to a 10 and aspect? Yeah, Ray, and that puts me at a 10, right? So again, you might have glossed over something in your deliverables that they bring up the objection, that you can just give them more certainty and clarity that their program will help them achieve X, Y, and Z goal, right?
Yeah, basically what you're trying to do here, guys, is you're trying to remove any objection that you can have outside of money. Literally every single representative that we work with, every sales rep, closer, what have you, right? Every single team, we push people to the only objection they should ever get 9 out of 10 times, because sometimes there's that odd one, right, is money. And so this is going to isolate and eliminate everything that can come up, understand what it is, tie them back down to their own words, reassert what we do, and get them to a 10 out of 10. So at that point, like I said, you're just trying to remove and again, pull out those last objections, those brush offs, right, that could be coming up. So the only thing stopping them moving forward at this point should be money, which ultimately is the easiest thing to overcome. Which again, if you're staying on to the end, I'm going to give you my financial breakdown, which is ridiculously, stupidly good. Like I said, it's one of those things. It's an absolute game changer. It'll make you a 1%er for sure. But all that being said, again, remove all objections. The only objection you should get if you do this properly should be money. Cool.
Great. So this master document, this is the whole overview. I'm going to show you guys one other thing. This is a little more visual, a little more visual way to kind of look at this that I'll run through super quick. It's really the same information that was in that document form. This is just on a different software and how we kind of lay out a lot of our frameworks and, and stuff we deliver to our clients. But what I really want to focus on is the highlighted boxes, right? So we talk about the introduction or the icebreaker. We go into assessing the situation, usually a handful of 5 or so questions, depending on your offer, to really understand where your prospect's at and if you're a good fit to work with them. We dive into problems and impact of problems, solutions and impact of solutions. Then we tie them down kind of based off of that, right? All right, so based off everything we just said, Jesse, if you had X, you feel like you could accomplish Y? Well, yeah, Ray, totally, cool. All right, then I like to do consequences of not moving forward, which I didn't really cover, but it's really just flipping the script. Hey, if you feel like you had X, you could accomplish Y? Yeah, Ray, 100%. All right, Jesse, on the flip side of that, let's say we don't get this problem solved. What does that look like in your business in the next 3 weeks, 3 months, hell, 3 years, right? and then get them to kind of rip away that dream. They already told you, hey, if I had this, I could accomplish that. Now let's kind of peel back that dream, because what we're doing when we ask, if you have this, what would, would you be able to accomplish that? What we're doing is kind of projecting future outcomes. And that's what you want to do. We're as Jesse said, don't talk about the trip, talk about the vacation or the outcome. We're selling outcomes with our program. So whether you're selling SEO, ads, coaching, like you're not actually selling SEO, ads, coaching, you're selling a transformation, a return on investment, a new outcome financially in terms of revenues brought in, right? You're selling the outcome. Your deliverables are what provide that outcome, but don't talk about the SEO intricacies, talk about the result they're going to see and how they're going to look 60, 90 days down the road after they're working with you. What kind of results are they going to see, right? Then we tie into the service program breakdown, which is you see here, we have kind of spotted out. That should be about 5 to 10% of the call. I see a lot of reps spending 25, 30% of the call just talking about their offer and the program and the presentation. This should be pretty brief. This isn't what the most of the emphasis on. The emphasis is really on the first 4 or 5 boxes here, the situation. It's really the discovery phase, right? Assessing the situation, problems, solutions, all that, and let them talk more. As Jesse asked a great question when I audited and talk about his calls that I've listened to in the past, right? How much talking am I doing? Jesse, 25, 30%, which means the prospect is doing 75, 70, 75%. That's the way it should be. So again, this is just a bit more of an aesthetic overview. And then you'll see in this document that I had up, we have what we like. It's one of the first, we've worked with a lot of other sales trainers, sales companies. We've collaborated. We've been through some of their programs. We compete with some of them. We're very aware of what's in the market and what's being taught. And what's being taught by most other sales gurus, for lack of a better phrase, is kind of memorized response objections, meaning if I get spouse, I say this. If I get business partner, I say this. If I've been burned before, I say this. But nobody's really put together kind of a universal framework that will work for all of those objections when you've done it right. So our AAA framework dives more into that. Whether it's acknowledge or agree, I like to say agree, acknowledge, then ask, but whether it's acknowledge, agree, doesn't really matter. I'll give you one quick example of this. Burn in the past is a great one, right? We get that on a lot of different offers, coaching, agencies, like we hear that a lot. Or even what I was talking about with this kind of lead gen offer for roofers, right? Being skeptical in the past, trying Angie's List or Home Advisor and, getting a bunch of shitty shared leads and not getting the result they wanted. Man, I felt like whatever it is, right? So when somebody says that to me, it's like, hey, Jesse, I totally get where you're coming from, right? Unfortunately, there is a lot of over-promising and under-delivering in this online space, especially when it comes to like agencies. So, you got to do your due diligence in making sure that you're getting the proper support and solutions you need when you speak with a company. But let me ask you, you feel like you've been burned in the past. So what would you say you didn't get from that company or that service that you inquired about and signed up for that you needed to be successful? What didn't you get? Right. And then that's all I'm doing is taking it one surface level deeper. So I'm agreeing with them. I'm acknowledging what's happening in the marketplace with, over promising and under delivering. And then, hey, man, really, what didn't you get in terms of support or benefits that you needed to ultimately hit your extra 10 jobs per month? Right. And let it come back in their words. And then I can isolate and be like, oh, well, do you see how our program differs from that in terms of exclusive leads and pre-qualifying? Before you were buying a bulk list of shared leads that your team had to siphon through and work them. Now we're pre-qualifying, we're getting you exclusive leads, and we're actually going to call them and pre-qualify them. So all I'm going to do is make sure he's comparing apples to apples, right? A lot of times when a prospect has it in their head, I've been burned in the past. Well, this program is going to be the same thing. They're going to tell me this and give me this. So really identify how you stand out, how your program is, I don't always want to say better, but different, because sometimes different is better. You don't want to obviously be pitching them the same thing they already felt like they were burned in the past. So they have to see the difference in what you're providing and how that benefits them. And last thing I want to say super quick before Jesse wraps up and then we get into some Q&A here is, always think about features versus benefits, right? Our deliverables are the features, but we want to highlight the benefits of the prospect. That's another analogy to focusing on, the destination or the trip as opposed to the vacation or the destination, right? We want to talk about that tropical island. Nobody really cares about the flight or the drive or however you got there. They want to see you, in sandy, clear water by palm trees with fancy drinks with umbrellas in your hand, right? That's what you want to think about. You don't want, who cares how I got there? I want to celebrate. So, same thing there. It's really about make sure we're focusing on the benefits and the outcomes and less on the features that of my program and the deliverables. Yeah, we have a lot more information, but we certainly went through a lot here in 90 minutes. Jesse, quick little recap or anything you want to add that I just touched on, and then we'll get to a Q&A here. And
no, the AAA format, guys, the formula there is crazy. It's universal for anything. It's something that, again, we research our competitors. We know our competitors fairly well, but ultimately, like we've not seen anybody put this down on paper or anything broken down. Again, it's just more memorization as to what to say in this objection. This is a way where you can open up in an open forum based upon what they said to customize it back to their needs. So again, it's all geared around what's best for the prospect. So that's huge, again, as well. But on top of that, kind of like Raid said, let's just open it up for Q&A. And before we do that as well, if you guys, again, want more info on who we are, what we do, how we can potentially help you, just go ahead and put below yes in the thread. We'll have our team reach out to you. If you can't book today, no worries, but they'll follow up with you accordingly. Whatever resources we can provide, if we want to get on a one-on-one call, whatever it looks like, just put yes below. Our team will reach out, book a call with you, and kind of learn more about you, where you're at, and see if there's certain ways we can help you guys continue to scale with wherever you're at in your sales process. But that being said, Q&A, guys, go ahead and hit us up here.
Great. Hey, one thing super quick. What Jesse just said is spot on. So Steven, can you just go ahead and put my link in the chat again in case people missed it? We can also, guys, take notes. Ibrahim and Steven, if you're still on, whoever's commenting yes there, just take notes of the people so we can get back in touch with them. But drop my link one more time. Malik, so the replay will be ready by tomorrow at the latest. So again, whoever you were in contact with on our team, whether that was email or messenger, just shoot them a message to that person. Hey man, I'd like the replay. We'll get it over to you first thing tomorrow at the latest. It'll probably be ready later tonight, but I'm just telling everybody tomorrow to give my team time to reply to everybody. So yeah, just shoot a message to whoever you were in contact with from us. There's my booking link again. As Jesse said, if any of this resonated with you and you want more advice on how you can get placed on a roll, how you can close more deals in the existing offer you're on, how you can bring more cash and close more deals in your existing business, or if you already have a business and you want some more information about how we manage and improve sales teams and cash collected, we can go over all that in a quick 15-minute setting that's more exclusive to you by commenting yes or clicking that link that Steven just put or Ibrahim put in the chat there for you guys. So thank you. And let's dive into questions. Do you guys know how to use the hand raise here on this app and just raise your hand so 10 people don't talk at once? Or if you guys can't use the hand raise or not familiar with that, I can just kind of call around everybody because I just don't want everybody talking. So what I'll do super quick is the order you're on my screen. I'm just going to call on you guys and then unmute. If you have a question or a takeaway, say yes. Otherwise, just say pass and I'll continue. So David Lee, you're the first one on my screen. Any questions or takeaways from this?
Yes, thank you. It was an awesome experience here. Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Amazing. I'd like to ask, what's the most common, maybe not success, the most common failure reasons for closers or specialists?
Say again, I'm sorry, you cut out for 1 second.
I'd like to know what's the most common reason that closers don't close?
That's a great question. And Jesse and I might have a different take on this. I would say it's self-accountability. There are a lot of closers that make excuses. Wasn't a quality lead. I'm not getting enough leads, right? People make excuses, but they don't really go in and do the due diligence to improve. So the two ways I can see closers making the biggest improvements is one, learning how to do self-audits, which if we can host another session or you guys can reach out to me, I can give you our self-audit framework, or having a mentor or a coach audit your sales calls and kind of give you real-time role play engagement on how to improve the situations. Jesse, what's your takeaway on that?
Laziness. Money's in the follow-up sometimes,
so
dude.
Too.
People are like, oh man, shit, I didn't get him. Oh God, he wasn't there. Don't know what I did wrong. And they just never reach back out or follow up, or they didn't send him a resource when they could have sent him a resource after the triage or the first time you talked to him, whatever the process is. Like, people just are flat out lazy. And if you're just doing one step above what other people are doing, you will literally close a deal or two more a week, which has to say it's a $5,000 offer. Let's say you're a closer, right? Your commission's 10%. You're making an additional $500 to $1,000 a week because you're doing your due diligence. You sent a text message follow-up. You sent an email follow-up. You booked the call properly to give them what they needed. You sent them the resources that they needed to get over the hump, right? So a lot of times, like I said, people are lazy as hell. And that's a huge reason why people suck at their job.
Great point. Yep. Those are certainly the biggest things we see. 100%. Cool. Ed McGilly, did you have any questions or takeaways? You got no audio for some reason, Ed. I don't know why. There we go.
I had you on mute on this also.
Your mute button.
Yeah, thanks. No, I don't have any questions, takeaways. I'm actually going to touch base, do a little 15-minute call with you guys. I met Jesse quickly in the Nothing Held Back job post forum. Yep. So that's how I came into this world. And yeah, I've got a lot to share, but I don't want to waste everybody's time right now. Awesome. So I'll hook up with you guys on the 15-minute connection call if that works.
Right on, man. Appreciate it.
Sweet.
That works fine.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Brad, you're next on my screen here. I know you already had a question. Do you have anything else? You're still muted too here, buddy. Yeah, one of these days I'll become a lip reader so I can work through this mute thing, but not yet.
No, I didn't have any other questions, mate. That was all good.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. Baron, you have anything for me? Good to see you here, man. I know you and I have worked on a couple of sessions together. Nice to see you, man.
Yeah, nice to be here. So I don't have any specific questions. You guys were really clear on this lesson. And I just want to say, like, it's funny how sometimes it takes you 2 years to arrive at the right people, that's actually, so that's how it works,
You're right. Good observation. Thank you.
Well, at the same time too, you guys can type some things in the bottom here. I would just like to know, and then we'll go on to the next person. What was like the biggest takeaway? What did you guys like most about what we presented? What basically gave you the most value? So the next time we can do this, we can continue to expand upon that. Go ahead and write that in the thread for us, please. Ray, go ahead with the next person.
Perfect. Yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that, but these guys are giving us some great takeaways anyways, but that helps. Okay, the next one on my screen is coming up as fireflies.ai. Do you have any questions or takeaways from today? Maybe she's or he is just listening. I don't know. Okay, I'll continue on the next one. You could just unmute if you get a chance, or if you're just sitting there listening, that's fine too. We have, I'm probably going to butcher this, Javad. Sorry, guys, if I butcher your names, I'm trying.
I remember, sorry, it's fine. I don't have any questions right now, but I'm going to definitely ask as we go along, going into the process. But a couple of days ago, when I started looking into the remote closing and remote setter stuff, it was to me, too good to be, it looked to me too good to be true. But now I think it's going to be, something real. So I'm just excited to, get started. And for me, everything is right there. I just need to, we just need to follow the stuff that you guys are saying, and then we can make it happen.
Totally. Yeah, we did lay out the blueprint that's been proven for $30 million internally and over $100 million in tracked results for our clients. So this is the sales process and frameworks that we've put together through kind of our battles in the trenches, and we've circumvented the learning curve, right? Everything that works is in here. What doesn't work has already been scrapped, right? And we've already done the optimization and the testing. Part of any business and sales process, marketing system, funnel you set up, all of that, it's optimization, testing, tweaking. And one thing we're really, steadfast on is before we teach anything to people, first we do it ourselves. So, we practice what we preach, when we all know there's a lot of people out there teaching stuff, but they're not actually doing it themselves, right? That's always a giant red flag to me, for one. So first off, we do it ourselves. Second, we make sure it is scalable and sustainable. And then we make sure it's repeatable in other people's businesses. And then we teach it. So implement, scale, and repeat, sustainability, and then teach. That's what we do with all this stuff. If it hasn't been proven, tested and tried and over again, we don't teach it. And once it's, cemented, for lack of a better phrase, and we know it works, that's when we take stuff like this and put it into our master classes. So this is all proven stuff. Jose, good little takeaway there in the chat. Did you have any other questions there? I liked your little thing. Your takeaway was don't focus on the trip, focus on the destination. But if you had any questions, go ahead.
No questions. That is a game changer. That phrase that I put on the chat is game changer, because sometimes you focus on the pitch, and that is something that I have been doing wrong. Maybe I already booked a call with you because I am a sales rep. The thing is that I think since I'm the first sales rep on the product on the service that I'm offering, I'm starting the sales process. So that's a little bit difficult because I don't have like a backup, a history of how the process goes. So I'm starting that. So I already booked the call.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to talk to you.
Perfect. I appreciate that. And we'll definitely dive into that some more when we chat one-on-one. Great. Malik, liked your takeaway there, right? Definitely the framing aspect and asking open-ended questions. You nailed that, because if you're not doing that, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Especially if you're asking those simple little, like, I hate when I'm on a conversation, I get these one-line answers. Yes, right. No, right. $50,000, Michael. Like that, if you're in those short-sighted conversations where everything you're getting back is one word or one phrase answers, you're not doing a good enough job asking the questions that is opening them up. So good takeaway, Malik. Did you have any questions? I'm going to take that as a no then. All right.
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
actually
Go ahead,
had a
Malik.
question.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was good, great value. Thank you for that. Looking forward to the replay as well. Message Jesse or someone else. But yeah, my question is for a person just getting into sales, and I've never been on an offer before. So how would that process even work? Like, what are the qualifications and stuff like that a person would be looking for?
Great question. Jesse, give a brief overview of that. And I would say, if you haven't yet, Malik, book a call. I can give you some more stuff in a one-on-one, but Jesse, give them a quick overview of, what you should do to get into it.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I talk to probably 100 you plus a week. So the main thing that individuals like myself are looking for are people that are eager, they're hungry, they're coachable, then they just honestly are relentless. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've not followed up with somebody and they hit me up 4, 5, 6 times showing interest in something. And I finally followed up with them, talked to them, saw what they were about, had a conversation, and either one brought them into our mentorship and trained them up properly so we can place them, or, they were in a position where we could potentially bring them in and add them to one of our accounts currently. Right. So I just want to see someone that honestly gives a shit, that's hungry, that wants to win. They want to do it the right way. They're willing to listen. They're willing to do the work, and they go above and beyond. If you have those characteristics and those qualities, there is no one in this space that would not hire you. I guarantee you that.
Cool. Thanks. And yeah, Raymond, I'll book that call with you possibly tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Take a look at the link whenever there's availability. I'd be happy to chat with you and give you some more information. And in addition to Jesse's thing, what I would say, in somebody like you're younger, not a lot of experience yet, you're probably to build realistic, transparent expectations. I would look at becoming a specialist first in an offer. That's where I would start on honing in my skill set and understanding that role, and then ascend, because sales is something, again, when you get in with a company and you kind of show your dedication, your eagerness to learn, and your eagerness to be coached, you're going to get offered, potential to become advisors and higher commission percentages down the line. But being young and hungry and certainly admirable, you're going to do a lot better starting off with a specialist. You're going to see more income and more results come quicker. You would probably struggle diving into a closer role without like those foundations. So that would be my initial advice, but let's chat about it some more in a one-on-one setting.
All right, cool. Yeah, the specialist role definitely makes more sense.
Great, cool.
Especially as a beginner.
Nick Early, you're the next one on my screen. Hey, Nick, nice to see you here. Any questions or takeaways, my man? We'll give you a minute to see if you're listening and can unmute. And if not, I'll go on to the next one. No, nothing? Okay. Abe, anything from you? And great to have you on. Just so you guys know, Abe is one of our private clients in our sales mastery program, as well as he just got brought on to work for the company internally, and he's going to be a specialist on one of our offers. Abe has shown some great hunger and asked some phenomenal questions, and it's been a blessing working with him. So thanks for being here, and love to get. Did you learn anything new today?
I actually did, man. I learn every time I talk with you guys. So something that Jesse pointed out about the about the objection handling framework being applicable to every single sales call, every single objection. Well, I thought about how the frame is also applicable to it's applicable to every industry, every sales call. And you start to realize that by following the frame and by following the AAA method, what you're really doing is like getting reps on like just really getting good at one thing, right? It reminded me of the 10,000 hour rule. If you do something 10,000 times, you're going to be amazing at it.
Yep.
Well, that means that if you're going through the same process every single time, your growth and skills as a salesperson is going to exponentially increase, right? Because you're just working on the same process and the same frame every time. It just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah. One thing too,
Great
Malik,
takeaway.
if you're still here, Abe came with us. He's been working with us for under a month, and very eager, very driven. I could see that in the conversation we had. I could see that when I talked to him. He started learning and going through our stuff, our frame, everything that we do. He was a setter in an offer. Then he moved to a closer, and then he doubled his closing rate 1 week after being into the process as a brand new sales rep. And he did so good, and he wanted more opportunities. And now we've brought him in on our team internally. So if you want to find a person or kind of replicate someone that you want to see who can do something from a very, very new standpoint, Abe is a perfect person to follow. He does the work. He asks the questions. He goes over it. He asks questions. He asks more questions. And then he actually does the work in the calls. And proof's in the pudding, guys. I mean, like I said, he's not even worked with us for a month, and he's kicking ass, taking names. And we're so impressed by him that we brought him into one of our internal businesses. So that's a person you want to replicate, Malik. That's the exact person that people are looking for.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better. Awesome. Thanks, Abe. Those were some great takeaways. And you're right. I think we touched on that a little, this framework. And it's not just like the overcoming objection, but the whole frame we use, and really the whole micro commitment process, but really that kind of framework cheat sheet that we went through. Again, Jesse and I stopped counting after we worked with 26 different niches and marketplaces, but we made it applicable again. And I specify this over and over again. These are frameworks and outlines that need to be customized, and you have to use your own, knowledge and intuition in terms of the offer, the lingo, what type of situational questions I ask. But every client I work with individually, we sit down and map that out for their particular offer, business model, whatever that may be. But just some things to keep in mind. All right, we only have 2 more people I think I haven't touched with yet. Vagelis? I don't know. Did I pronounce that right? And do you have any questions or takeaways?
Close enough. Yeah, Vagelis.
Vagelis. I would have never got
yeah.
it.
Good evening. Well, actually, I missed the full first hour of this training because the time I got to attend this in my email was 1 hour later than you started it.
Oh, shoot.
And B, I was
Sorry
out
about
for
that.
my wife's birthday. So yeah, anyway, this is great stuff. I'm currently studying and training in NetQ. So a lot of the stuff that I watched with you guys at the last 30 minutes that I managed to attend was familiar, and it's
Great.
encouraging for me to know that I'm on the right track to becoming a closer because I'm learning what I have to learn. I used to be an appointment setter for a year. That was for a low ticket offer in B2B software as a service marketing stuff. And I quit because I was unhappy with cold calling. So now I'm, unemployed, training to be a closer. So I guess my takeaway for today is sticking with the plan, despite not having a script per se, follow the process religiously. By the way, sorry for asking questions during the presentation. I didn't mean to be rude. I just didn't realize we'll have a Q&A in the end because I missed the first part.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't rude at all. Wasn't rude.
No, that's great, man. Yeah, it's like you said, it's anytime there's a conversation that Ray and I have with someone, it's never the same, but it's exactly the same, if that makes sense. So there's certain things that we want to know, certain things we want to understand, certain things that we want to drive home, right? Ultimately, it's all geared towards what that person on the other side of the phone or Zoom, whatever, right, is looking for, what they've tried. And essentially, if we can potentially position something in front of them, that's going to help them be successful. So again, everything that you're doing, we don't follow a script, never have, never will. but there is a specific frame and outline that we're getting the same information every single time, instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Where most people look at the script and go off it and they stop listening to the prospect, right? Which is the biggest issue. They give you a 50-foot fucking door to walk through, and you just, you know, oh, no worries, on to my next question. Like, what the hell? I just gave you one of my biggest pain points I'm looking for, and then you go on to something else, like you weren't even listening to me because you're going off of a
You
script.
have to be actively listening.
Exactly. Yeah. So it allows you to keep the conversation very organic, very oriented and custom tailored feeling to the prospect. And it'll allow you to tie them down and isolate issues with their own words. And so that's very, very important. Like everybody on here, if you have a script, that's great. But again, I would follow more so a frame, or if you have a script, just make sure you're actively listening, because you can be getting huge pieces of information that can help this person make a buying decision and what's best for them, that you just literally walk away from because you weren't listening properly. So that's another issue. And that's why that frame is so crucial. Again, it's open-ended questions, very organic, all driven in the best interest of that person. And if you gear that conversation properly, they're literally going to give you everything that you need to help them make the best decision for themselves all day, every day, guys. So great takeaway, man. I love it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What I would say to that, if you came in late, sorry about the misconfusion. I'm not sure what happened with the email, but whoever reached out to you, right, on our team, just shoot them a message or an email in return, and we'll make sure you get the replay so you can go back and watch what you missed as well. And based off what you said, you know, your time already as a setter, you getting out of that role, you training as a closer, might be smart if you get a chance to book a brief little call with me, and we can talk about your situation a little better, and I can give you some more kind of direction and insight as to how to best, you know, execute. But that'd be great. And the last one on my screen here is Nicholas's Fathom Note Taker, right? Any questions or takeaways? I think I hit everybody on the screen. And I know a couple people are just listening, so that's fine if you don't have anything. Just wanted to give them one more second. Cool. All right. Well, otherwise, sorry guys if this went a little long, but we wanted to get all the information across. We tried to do it in a quick 60 to 90 minute outline, which I told Jesse I doubt we'll be able to do. So thanks for sticking with us all this time. We tried to give as much value as you can, and it was important to us to at least make this extra, you know, last half hour or so answering your questions and getting this feedback. So thank you for everybody. Jesse, anything to close with?
Yeah, man. Like we said, at the end of the day, this is all driven for us to help you guys in any way that we can, whether that's a brief phone call with us one time, or that's working with us closer, you know, whether you're looking to become a setter, closer, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, we're here to help guide you guys in the best way possible. We've been very fortunate to have an extreme amount of success online. You know, there's so much money out there, we can't keep it all, right? So we want to make sure you guys got the best opportunity to succeed, make a better life for yourself, your family, be happy with what you're doing, work remote, whatever it is, man. We love working with individuals like yourself and really helping you propel your life in a better direction, not only helping you, but helping others to help others, man. So that's what we're all about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the prezo today. And again, we'll look forward to speaking with you guys soon. If you have further questions, let us know, and we'll get a replay up here as well.
Great. Thanks everybody for attending. Appreciate your interaction and engagement in your Q&A. And yeah, hit up any of our team members if you want that cheat sheet, the replay, or anything else we mentioned. We'll get that stuff over to you guys.
Yeah. Lastly, too, guys, if you want to follow us closer too, we have a Facebook group called the Sales Lab. You can look it up. It's pretty simple on there. You'll see us. But yeah, feel free to join that. There's a lot of good fire in there for you too, things you can follow along with. And we do weekly stuff in there too. So happy to have you wherever we can, man. I appreciate everybody's time.
Good call. All right. Thanks, fellas. Bye-bye.